What up? What up, man? I just really just really got up and at 'em today. I went to work real early, and I thought about it. Today is that No Kings rally. Um, that's why you see what my title say. You said No Kings rally, not for black people. Get out. So I was on YouTube just scrolling and seeing what's going on out there in them streets with the No Kings rally. And I was thinking, you know what? Let me let me see if I see a bunch of black people out there. And so I went, let me see here. Yeah, there you go. So this is when I type in No Kings protests. I really don't see too many black people. I'm gonna go into them though. I could just about. I don't even gotta see what Seattle doing. I already know it ain't. But let's watch. Oh look. Oh damn. This brother. Okay.
Round of applause. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna say this. If there's any black people, they're gonna highlight them. They're gonna make sure they highlight the black people. They're gonna make sure. Yeah. Damn. Look at them. Look at these black folks.
The country. They are refusing to look in the mirror and accept the fact that they are destroying America. And let's call it what it is. It's a lack of accountability and denial.
See, that lady said they destroying America. America been destroyed. America has never been what it said it was about. America, this is why no black should be protesting with this No Kings rally shit. Because America been not, been on, just saying that it's about a certain thing, but never being about what it said it's about. When concerning the most important people, I think to humans, which is what we call black people, melanated people, we're the most important people to the whole humans to this earth. So, man, to treat the most important people wrong in every country, that's more than criminal. To me, that's more than criminal. So my whole take on this No King shit is basically no presidents shit. Like the president's been worse than a goddamn king over here to our people. So, man, I was just looking at some shit they did to the Native Americans, man, who did this is their country originally. I mean, they basically like they named all these sports teams after these Native Americans, believing that Native Americans was gonna die. Like they wanted to wipe them out. So if you Native American and you still here today, trust me, they didn't expect you to be here. This is the culture here in America. Our people, they raped and killed and threatened, still do the same thing to this day. And then have the nerve to turn around and say, well, why you didn't, it's been 150 years since why they created black codes which made it illegal damn near to exist, and then have the nerve in 2025 to say, well, it's been 150 years. Why you didn't, why you haven't gotten where So this is the bullshit that we see in this country. And it's all been for white people to live and thrive in this country when all racism was a fucking lie from the beginning. It was a fucking lie built on greed. The same shit that these motherfuckers lie about everything today, they lied about when they invented racism. Yeah, racism is an invention. If y'all don't know, it's a fucking invention. A person in the Catholic Church invented this shit to for money. It was all for money and for conquest, or what they call conquest, going in other people's countries and fucking up shit. So yeah, man, here we are now. Here we are where, how black people been feeling. White people starting to feel. Now they want us to not please. This seemed to be some white people shit to me. I got a few points I want to point out though, just so this video flows smooth. I came with some notes. So why black people in America might not feel compelled to protest Trump's authoritarianism. America's hypocrisy has always been exposed to us. Black people have lived through the contradictions of a country that preaches liberty and justice, but was built on slavery, segregation, and systematic racism. What many white Americans are now waking up to: loss of democracy, state violence, corruption, Black Americans have lived under for centuries. See, this is what Black fatigue is. What y'all playing around with by looking at Black people online, fighting and basically just showing how mentally fucked up we are within our community. Why y'all want to call it Black? Y'all tired of seeing some mentally fucked up, mentally traumatized people act out their trauma. Y'all tired of that. What Black fatigue really is Black people being tired of being oppressed. That's what Black fatigue really means. We've always lived under an authoritarian system. For Black people, policing, surveillance, and punishment have always been authoritarian. From slave patrols to mass incarceration, authoritarian control isn't new. It's just becoming more visible to everyone else. Selective outrage from the majority. When democracy was crumbling for Black Americans through voter suppression, lynching, redlining, and police killings, most of America stayed silent. Now that it affects them, they want unity and outrage. Damn shame. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, what seems to be going on is white America, no matter what political party you are, because both of these parties have historically been racist, right? One just a little bit more comfortable being around Black people, and one don't want to even acknowledge Black people in no kind of way, right? One want Black Americans to basically be non-existent. So this is the Chicago one. Let's see this. Mm-hmm. Oh man. Okay. No Kings protest. Oh, okay. Times Square. Yeah, now is the time for black people and really anybody who's smart to get prepared for maybe the worst period in our history over here in this country. No time for protesting. That might cost some money. We ain't got no extra money right now. As a whole, we ain't got no extra money. And what, just to be around some other white people that's comfortable with being around black people, but will dog you out basically to your face? That's what white racist Democrats do. They get close to you and then still treat you racist right to your face and smile in your face. The Republicans, how they do it, or the MAGA ones anyway, the super conservative people, they act like you never existed. They act like blacks never existed. They ignore you all the way, all together. So them the two differences between the Democratic white racists and the Republican white racists. One will hug you and stab you in the back. One will act like you don't even exist and won't even basically tell you, no, I don't even want you near me. So that's the difference, man. Let me see here. Let me get my notes together. I'm gonna get my notes together. All right. Okay, here we go, baby. I bet not see none of y'all out here protesting. Just like out of all the shit that I could have seen, I saw one of the homies at the January 6th protest. I couldn't believe it. One of my close dogs. Oh man, from that moment on, I knew my dog was different, man. I mean, he always been kind of different. But it was that moment I said, oh, he might not be my dog no more. He might be like their dog, like these white people, like a dog on a dog on a leash type of dog. Now he's less than a dog. You know what I'm saying? That's how they look at black people. It's less than dogs. They treat their dogs better than they treat black people. So, man, I felt real bad for my homie, man. I said, damn, I prayed for him and pretty much, haven't really communicated with him since. And it's been really sickening, to see somebody that I thought was somebody I thought was in tune with himself. So I would like to hope that anybody that I associate with is in tune with themselves enough to not be at a January 6th rally. Trip me the fuck out. He was out there protesting with them. I couldn't believe it. Then I saw another homie on the news with the MAGA people. I couldn't believe it. I said, damn. How did I just be wondering, man, like how did some of these black people come from these same communities as, regular like black people that's in tune and be so out of tune? Like what happened? I be wondering, like, for the black people that's out here protesting today, I wonder what happened to y'all. Like, what happened, man, for you to be out here? See, anything that black people should be protesting, it should be the abuse or mistreatment of the man-made of the man-made in God's image, period. Which is the first man, the original man, the melanated man, the dark melanated man on top of that. See, because within our community, we got a lot of complexionism. We have a lot of complexionism, meaning the light or the lighter among us seem to think that they're more important than the darker among us. See what I'm saying? And I think a lot of the lighter among us tend to think that the dark among us think that too. When we really don't. I'm just gonna tell y'all right now, if you light skinned and you think that dark skinned people think you more important than them, you are fooled. And you playing that same game that these white folks played against our whole race. Yeah, so no, we matter of fact, do we not believe? We believe you should have never been light skinned because that's a rape gene. You sitting out here, if you think you better, just know that what's within you wasn't even supposed to be within you. Period. It's a violation. You know, which at this point, all Black Americans have that rape gene in us, which I think contributes to Black on Black crime. I think that rapist gene that we have within our people, it contributes to the Black on Black crime within our community. I think we hate. We have a seed of hate within our DNA that comes out in the form of, you know, fighting and wanting to hurt each other, just envy and jealousy within our DNA, within us. You know, I'm talking about all of us. We have this seed within us. A lot of times we suppress it, but a lot of times, you know, depending on how you was raised, I don't think, you know, a lot of our brothers and sisters, they letting that be like what they think who they are. You know, they think that, you know, treating each other bad, hurting other Black people, they think that's who they are. They think they was born to do it. So that's what kind of told me, like, man, we got a seed deeply embedded within our DNA that's made from hate. And I think that's where that seed come from. But here go my notes. Selective outrage from the majority. When democracy was crumbling for Black Americans through voter suppression, lynching, redlining, or police killings, most of America stayed silent. Now that it affects them, they want unity and outrage. But where was that same energy when it was us? See what I'm saying? Where was this type of protesting going on anytime in America the whole time Black people been here and getting done wrong? No time. I just saw this clip. Actually, I'm gonna play this clip of this farmer, of this Black farmer breaking it down. You know, all these white farmers want all of this, bailout attention and all that shit. Check this out.
Grandkids will be able to carry on.
In 1988, my family and I had a 52-acre farm in Hillsdale County, Michigan. We were the only Black people in the county. We raised animals, we had cows. And
this was in Michigan, man. You know, not far from where I live at. Hillsdale, where you say? Hillsdale County. I want to see what that's at.
In 1988, my family and I had a 52-acre farm in Hillsdale County, Michigan.
Okay. Hillsdale County, Michigan. I ain't never even heard of that. But let's go to it. Let's see. Okay. All right, where's that? What city that I might? Okay. So not too far from Jackson, Michigan, right there. Okay. And Adrian. Okay, I never heard of Hillsdale. Never heard of none of these spots. Mosherville. Okay. So this is where he's talking about.
We were the only black people in the county. We raised animals. We had cows and chickens, and we were.
See, this that complexionism. You can look at him and tell this a light-skinned nigga, right? Why would you want to go where you're the only black motherfuckers in the county and then be surprised when some shit? I don't even know why he making this video, but let's hear him out because he's talking about some black farmer shit, which is, hopefully this video help anybody if they ever wonder why it ain't as many black farmers as you would think it should be, like to be self-sustainable when a whole system is built to bury you, literally thinking that they're gonna kill you.
Living off the grid, basically. And then we had our house fire bomb. We were the only black people in the county.
Why don't we see more black farmers in America today?
The decline in the black farmer had a few facets to it. One was the Great Migration, and then you had horrific laws of Jim Crow, where blacks weren't able to obtain credit.
Yeah.
Under the
Yeah. The same exact system that's supposed to help farmers actually try to hurt black farmers. So that's what he's saying.
The Carter administration, they came up with the Farmers Home Administration that was supposed to help blacks get loans, and it did the opposite. You weren't getting farm ownership loans, you weren't getting farm operating loans. I take a step into the United States Department of Agriculture and I step back in time. 387 days to process a black farm loan request and less than 30 days to process a white farmer's loan request. And the top 10% getters in U.S. farm subsidies get over $1 million per farmer, and the average subsidy to a black farmer is $222.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
For King,
and that's the double standard, like these farmers, these white farmers, at this point got the nerve to act like, like we all of a sudden in a crisis. We've been in a crisis in this country, been in a crisis. If anybody was done wrong based on what this country said it was about, the Constitution and all that shit, if anybody was done wrong, everybody was done wrong. That's how I feel. If anybody was done wrong based on what this Constitution said, land of the free and the home, which I always thought was the land of the non-free and the home of the slave, everybody was done wrong. So yeah, man, let's listen a little bit more to this video. This is a 24-minute video. I don't think I'm gonna play the whole thing though.
the main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do, and that's not happening. And
they all voted for this shit though. They voted for this motherfucker. That's the crazy part about it. These motherfuckers out here crying about some shit that they voted for. All because they hated Obama. All this shit go back to recently, it goes back to Obama. Historically, it just goes back to them not knowing who we are in reference to them, or who they are in reference to us, however you want to look at it. But knowing that they came from us. All white people come from black people. All people on earth come from black people. We are the first. And we really the only. Just everybody started to look different. and or start messing around with non-human species, Neanderthals and shit. And that's another thing. I think that a lot of the hate that come from white America to black, or from white people to black people, I think it's embedded in their DNA to hate. I think that Neanderthal gene that's in all non-black people, which at this point is in black Americans too, because if we got some of that white gene in us, we got some of that Neanderthal in us, which may explain the black on black crime. I think a lot of the violence that they have especially towards black people and towards themselves, is that Neanderthal gene that hate humans, that hate Homo sapiens. You know what I'm saying? Our versions of the humans, the original man, the African, 100% pure human. I think that mix of Neanderthal that they got within them hates the original man. That's my opinion. I really believe that. I really believe they have some deep hate within their genes too. But that hate that they got is actually deeper. But it's the same thing that's within us, because at this point, all black Americans got some white in them. So we got some of that hate within us, some of that Neanderthal versus original man hate. You know what I'm saying? Which in turn, we basically take that and make that white on black hate within us, that DNA, man, that hateful DNA we got within us. What up, Veronica? Yeah, man.
In real trouble.
But that is not the only issue. King's wife, Melissa King, and farmer in Biggers, Arkansas, Scott Brown, said they are struggling to afford the cost that is needed just to take care of the farm.
The prices that we're getting now are prices like they were when we were children, and what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now. I mean, the price of a combine when we were kids was, in the 20,000s, and now it's 100,000.
I farm 800 acres by myself. I can't afford any help. I farm with paid-for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. How's the guys farming 5 and 10,000 with 20 hands and $1 million combines and $1 million drills going to make it work?
As a black farm operator, the one thing that I'm sick of hearing from white farmers is how you're struggling. Excuse me, my people not only struggle, the USDA objectively spent more money trying to keep black farmers out of farming and to actually help us. Meanwhile, white farmers were not only getting land, you're getting conservation payments. Do you even know what that is?
Back in 2021, the government finally tried to throw us, black farmers, indigenous folks, and other farmers of color, a little lifeline. I'm talking about Section 1005 of the American Rescue Plan, which was supposed to give $4 billion in debt relief to the people who've been discriminated against for generations by the USDA. That money, that was justice, not charity. But guess what happened? A group of white farmers, a lot of them from Texas and Arkansas, got so pressed at the thought of us getting help, they pulled together and filed a lawsuit to shut the whole thing down, and the court sided with them. That section of the bill? Dead. Fast forward to right now, and those same folks, they out here crying for bailouts, saying they need help, they struggling, and I'm watching this like, oh, now y'all want help from the same system you fought to keep us out of? Where was that energy when it was our turn? This ain't just about farming. It's about how racism shows up when we get a chance to breathe, even for a second. It's about how systems will let others claim victimhood while ignoring the centuries of harm done to black communities.
The American Rescue Plan, which became law in March, was supposed to deliver billions of dollars in aid and loan forgiveness to the nation's underprivileged farmers. Instead, those funds are being held up by a federal lawsuit. The promise of aid that fails to materialize is all too familiar to many farmers of color, long subjected to discrimination in government programs. We went to Virginia to talk with a fourth-generation black farmer leading the call for change.
John Boyd has been tilling this soil for the last 3 decades, land that's been in his family for 100 years.
My grandfather was able to raise 15 children on his farm.
You say you're the classic case
Yes,
of the black farmer.
classic case.
Why?
Many black farmers were tied historically to the land, either through sharecropping or generational land. That's the way the blacks did it, and we were old school farmers. These are tobacco curing bonds.
Boyd is president of the National Black Farmers Association, representing thousands of black farmers across the U.S.
We farmed with limited resources. Banks weren't lending us any money. USDA really dogged black farmers and poor processing time. It took 387 days to process a black farm loan request and less than 30 days to process a white farm loan request.
In March.
So basically, look, in short, we are the aftermath. The black people living today, we are the true living examples of what it means to go through, be oppressed, to be trampled on, to be ostracized, to be looked at and not considered with any so-called law. We are the true examples of weathering authoritarianism, the whole thing that they marching about today. So there's no need for us to march. There's no need for us to join no protests. All we need to do is look in the mirror. All we need to do, if we want to be reminded of authoritarianism, the whole thing that they want to march about, no kings and all, look in the mirror. We are the living proof that not only do these people not matter, see, because what none of them is talking about is God. And I'm not talking about that white image of Jesus Christ. I'm talking about the God that's within us, because that reflection that I'm talking about, that's God. What you seeing on this camera is God. I'm a version of God in the flesh. Yes, I'm right here. Can't escape me. You hear that voice? That voice you hear? That's God's voice. You can feel it. Within every part of my being is God. Right? Minus that some of that Neanderthal, that, you know, that hateful gene. I got a little bit of it in me. All of us do in America. But I think that's where a lot of our fight come from here, man. Like we really not proud of that gene, you know, because we know it wasn't supposed to be there. That's why I think our fight is a little different than the Africans, you know what I'm saying? Because they historically, I think the Africans, I don't think they really understand how special they are, you know, and if they do, it seems like collectively they more, I guess, you know, they never, as overall, they never really been tried and battle tested, you know, been taken down through there. Us Black Americans, we've been taken down through there in every shape, form, or fashion. So yeah, this is why I'm saying we don't need to be out there protesting, man. We need to basically look within, stay in tune with ourselves, get prepared for this white on white crime, because when white on white crime, this is the thing about white on white crime. The real white on white crime, which is wars being waged, countries, the whole world at war, they crime affect it can and will affect the whole world. They crime, see, that's why they like to focus on black crime so much, because the white on white crime, which is basically, it's got the same components to it. It's a whole lot of ego. Is usually some women, you know, women involved, you know, just like with black on black crimes, usually some women involved, you know, whether whether or not, you know, you talking about their mother, some how they was raised by their mother, the lack of affection from women, you know, what I just said like this, they ain't getting no pussy. You know what I'm saying? These what motherfucking crazy ass white motherfuckers don't be getting no pussy. They don't be getting none at all. Let me show my comments on here. Where the ice, what you say? Barchester, that was 7 minutes ago. Where the ice age receded, that last is like that area in the broader geographic way, let alone those later migration waves. Super interesting concept about genes. Something I have wondered is how trauma reverberated in Europe for a long time. The biggest crusades were internal. Albigensian and Teutonic before they got to selling around. Well, yeah, I mean, Barchester Tower from YouTube. I'm gonna say this, man. The 700 years that Africa ruled over in parts of Europe, they, you know, the black Africans and Moorish people, they didn't subject the Europeans to the same type of traumatic shit that the Europeans subjected the Africans to over here in this country with slavery. The Moors actually brought culture to Europe. They actually taught them how to read and write. They gave them, taught them how to be sanitary, how to be clean, and how to have a nice, clean society. Taught them political stuff that during that time in the Dark Ages in Europe, they had totally forgot. They didn't know nothing about no arithmetic, no math, no science, none of that stuff. So the Africans basically civilized the Dark Ages in Europe. And it's so crazy that the same year that the Africans were pushed out of Europe, which is 1492, that's the same year that they so-called discovered America. I think that's quite ironic. You know what I'm saying? So the trauma, yeah, in Spain, exactly, in Spain. Yeah, we talking about Granada. That was the name of it, the Battle of Granada. So so it's so ironic that, you know, the same people that civilized these people, they wanted to uncivilize us, you know, like make it to where we don't read, don't learn, want to, like, it's really, so the only way to rationalize this is how they feel about themselves deep down. I think white people, they don't feel worthy. Deep down, they don't feel civilized. Like they can't, man. If you think about it, wanting to blow up the whole fucking world, you got to be a very uncivilized person to create these kind of weapons that they done created. Something got to be very wrong. You got to hate all of humanity. You know, but they use these things as so-called tools. But man, just the ability to be able to wipe out the world is sickening. Very sickening. And it's directly related to when the black man was ruling over the world. There was no end. Like it like beautiful, beautiful place to be. This earth was beautiful. And I believe these people hate black people so much, they'll blow this whole damn world up. That's why I think that's really what I think we witnessing right now. We witnessing some hate so deep that they'd rather blow this whole goddamn world up than to be in harmony with black people. And I truly believe that if this world addresses the ills that they have caused towards black people, it has saved the world. I truly believe that atonement with black people will save white people. Until then, it's going to continue to haunt them because, like I said, we are in white people. Our DNA created them. They wouldn't be who they are. It's not like the seed that's with all black Americans, that rape seed. I'm talking about the whole makeup of what make a person is in white people from black people. So that's different. You know what I'm saying? But let me continue this video.
March, President Biden announced his plan to right that wrong, providing $4 billion in loan relief to socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers in his $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan.
This debt relief is designed to catch them up.
We spoke to Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack in April about disparities in the last year alone.
In the COVID relief packages that were announced prior to the rescue plan, of those self-identified farmers who identified as white or black or Hispanic, black farmers received roughly $20 million in help through those COVID packages. White farmers received over $5.5 billion. And the reason for it is because they were able to grow over a period of time, over the decades, able to fully utilize the full extent of USDA programs. Black farmers were not able to do that because of discrimination.
But last week, a federal judge in Wisconsin halted those payments, saying the U.S. Department of Agriculture's use of race-based criteria in the administration of the program violates their right to equal protection under the law.
This shit is crazy. Y'all hear that? So when we being helped based on discrimination from a whole entire system, they're trying to undermine it by saying, well, you can't be helped. You can't be singled out and helped. We could be singled out and hurt, but we can't be singled out and helped. That's the thing. And then they say it violates. This is the type of bullshit that we seeing with Trump and this whole administration right now by undermining all of these things. Hold on, what you say, bro? Was it a month versus a year for loan disparity? That's a whole season of loss. Oh no, it's been generations of loan disparity. Generations, bro.
One thing to help people because
that actual loan, I think it came from a lot of the shit that Trump put in place the first time. You know, when the markets went to, I think, Brazil and Argentina the first time that Trump was in office. A lot of markets left America then, but I think all of their markets gone now. So if it was 500 or $50 billion or something like that, then just imagine it might be closer to like $1 trillion this time for these white farmers. Trump about to inject in them. But guess what? They don't have a market. So basically, the farmers are about to be the biggest. The farmers are about to be the biggest group. They're getting the most money being on aid. Like they are the welfare kings. You remember the welfare queen that they made for black women in America to survive and take care of their kids and just get by? Now these white farmers are about to be millionaires from our tax dollars, all because of what the government fucking created. Let that sink in. It's sickening, man.
They themselves have been the victim of identifiable past discrimination. But it's a wholly other thing to hand out benefits or to grant the preference based solely on the color of one's skin.
Rick Eisenberg is the president of the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty, the firm representing 12 white farmers across 9 states that challenged the policy.
See that name, Eisenberg? That's probably a Democrat. So these are games that these Democrats. Well, I can't say you're a Democrat. You know, a lot of Jewish people, they Republicans nowadays. But either way, these the games that all these people play, right? And you know, black people, we don't necessarily know the difference between white Jewish people, you know, and then it's so crazy when I just heard a Charlie Kirk question about why the blacks haven't, you know, gotten nowhere since slavery ended versus the 80 years since the Holocaust, that the Jewish people are the most successful people on earth right now. And it's simple. They white. They white. A Jewish person, you won't know a person Jewish unless they tell you, you know, or unless you know what certain cues look for. They can change their name and become, you know, Miller, you know, like Stephen Miller. He a Jewish person. You know, if you don't know, you know, if you don't even ask, you won't even know that they Jewish. You can see us from miles away. We can't hide. We get discriminated against from miles away. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we get discriminated from a bird's eye view. Like, no, they don't even have to look at us to discriminate against us. We could be discriminated from remotely, you know, with buttons at this point. So it's no wonder, man. It's called black codes. Black codes were actually a thing. Like black codes, you will go to jail if you didn't have a job. Imagine that. Imagine looking for work, needing some work, but in turn you end up going to prison because they made it a law to be, you will go to jail if you don't have a job or being out after a certain time of the night. That was an actual law written down. It wasn't federal. It was all state laws. But guess what? The federal government didn't step in and enforce the federal laws. So guess what? The federal government was culpable, meaning they were actually in cahoots with these states that created these laws. Convict leasing, all of that, man. Come on, man. This is some sick shit that America been doing to black people. This is why no black person should be out here protesting today. I seen some and I'm ashamed. Let our white brothers and sisters, let them do this, because this is some shit that they created. So they got to fix it.
So you don't argue that systemic racism has perhaps disadvantaged black farmers in the past?
Certainly there have been some black farmers who have been discriminated against in the past. There was a lawsuit. The way to stop discriminating on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race and not to think that there is some way that we can balance the scales by discriminating just a little bit.
The USDA isn't backing down, telling CBS News, "We respectfully disagree with this temporary order and will continue to forcefully defend our ability to carry out this act of Congress and deliver debt relief to socially disadvantaged borrowers."
I wasn't aware that some farmers weren't receiving the same as other farmers.
Cheryl.
Of course you wasn't aware. You're not supposed to be aware. That's the, you know, the covering that you're supposed to have. You ain't supposed to think that. That's why we in the place that we in now. There's so many people that don't think that, you know, because their opinions say that that's more relevant than facts. You know, what she just said, it basically sums up America right now. It's a whole lot of people that don't think that certain people are being disenfranchised. And just by them saying they don't think it, that's supposed to override the fact that it's really happening. Trust me, That's how this country got to be where it's at. People want to think that their opinions override the fact. That's basically Fox News' whole model. They don't think this, they don't think that. And so a lot of that has been in turn put into law at this point. Trump and his whole regime, they put in the law shit that they don't think. You know, they don't think this is right. They don't think, you know, regardless of how, you know, the facts line up.
Ash and her husband James are plaintiffs in the suit. They breed hogs in Jasper, Missouri.
They're only about 4 days old.
I didn't know that existed, but I think it doesn't matter what color of skin you have. If you're a farmer, you should be able to qualify and get those programs and those grants. Equality is best, especially from our government.
At the turn of the last century, there were nearly 1 million black farmers in America. The USDA now says there are only 45,000 in a country of 3 million farmers. And less than 40% of them, 17,000, qualify for assistance.
At the bottom, they would use old rocks from the farm.
For Boyd, those numbers showcase decades of discrimination and disparity that he pledges he will fight to remedy.
Well, let me say this. I'm going to die a farmer. I'm very optimistic about the future, but I want people to know that it's not going to happen by itself.
Well, the Department of Agriculture is going to answer the suit. They are essentially advising borrowers to just move forward with their claims. But as we speak, there are some 5 other lawsuits that are already coming down the pike.
Why don't we see more black farmers in America today?
Yeah, so it's lawsuits against black farmers getting basically debt relief, you know, from what we seeing right now. We seeing this whole system being put in jeopardy with these tariffs. Like the whole farming system is actually about to be wiped out. It's getting wiped out. The rest of the world is tired of America. America with Trump has been comfortable taking off the mask, taking off the KKK hood, and now the rest of the world can see America. See, America was doing fine before it took off its racist hood, you know. But that's what happens when you don't check something right when you're supposed to check it, and you don't hold people accountable. They think they could just keep doing it, and after a while, they'll try to convince everybody else that they wrong. So that's what we have now. I was just at work earlier and I saw a white male coworker cutting up. I'm talking about cussing out one of our other coworkers, a white female. He was cussing her out loud, right? And I looked over there and I said, look at that white on white crime. But then I said, nah, this is some white male no accountability shit going on. And so I went over there and I injected myself into it by just announcing who I was. And that it diffused everything. I went over there and said, hey, what's up? How you doing? Looked him in the eye, shook his hand, introduced myself because I didn't know him. I was working a different shift that I don't generally work. But I introduced myself, shook my hand, shook his hand, and told him my name, and he told me his name. And after that, he straightened up a little bit, you know. But in society, when we see white men clowning, a lot of times, see, just like the people that was in my plant, in my factory that I worked at, what they was doing was just looking and coming up with excuses for the man. What you say, bro? You dropping comments and I ain't even reading them. Yeah, I can see how over so many generations it just keeps chipping away. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like this No Kings rally, seems to me to be the first generation of America finding out that America was never America for any American. Because if any American was being treated in any kind of way un-American, all Americans was being treated un-American. But I guess what? If, you know, like in the case of the Native Americans, what if they taking their land, if they giving it to us, right? So what if blacks don't get these jobs if we getting the jobs, you know? So now, what, 250 years later, which next year is the 250th year anniversary of this country's founding, I don't think this country gonna last another 50 years, to be honest. I don't think so. And if it do, it'll be bombed out. It won't be what this dumbass president called making it great again. It ain't never been great. This country was just the only country in a position to thrive after World War II. So now that we have a full global economy, now that there's a full global economy, we see how great we could be. But guess what? Since World War II, this country has invested so much energy and time into hating black people and really any people of color that we didn't put ourselves in a position to be great and compete in the world economy. This country did not prepare itself to be finally great. What it did was try to portray this illusion of white greatness, of something white being, you know, that image, that blonde hair, blue eye, that, you know, that Aryan, I don't know. It's like a cartoon. It's like a cartoon. It's like something that's not real at all. So that all of that time invested into that, now this country is imploding, basically destroying itself from the inside out. That's what we're seeing in this country right now. We're seeing an implosion going on, an implosion of an illusion. And that's why I said, like, this has never been real to black people. This country has never been real to black people. And what I'm gonna read off. Okay. Exhaustion and emotional burnout. Black Americans have marched, protested, voted, and bled for a better America over generations, constantly fighting while the country ignores or reverses progress leads to fatigue. It's not apathy, it's emotional self-preservation. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. This is another reason why we should not be voting. I mean, we should not voting. We should be voting. I'm gonna say that. Marching and shit and protesting right now. No. I mean, you know what? Have at it. You know, whatever you want to do. If you black, if you want to get out there and march, because everybody's black. You know, that's how I see it. Everybody originally black. Voting, like I said, voting to me, it's important, man. And I just think that voting for the right person is so much more important than just voting itself. You know, I think a lot of white Americans have, like, at this point, it's obvious that a lot of white Americans have taken voting for granted, like to the point to where they think they could just vote for anybody as long as they white, you know. And I think that's why Obama was so important, to really test, you know, white America on how important they think voting is, because Obama was a quality man. He is a quality person, regardless of politics. He's a quality person. And I know a lot of black people ain't gonna agree. See, we hard on our own self within the black culture. So, like, when you go to the black barbershop, it's a lot of black people, they're gonna be saying that they hate Obama. But guess what? Within the black community, we say that about family members. So that's just how we are within the black community. We hold ourselves to a higher degree. You know, we real hard on each other. So accountability is very high within our community, as far as within our community. Now, when it comes to white people bringing up black issues just to prove some points, then that's when it looked like we're not accountable. But no, we're very accountable. We just don't want to discuss our business with white people when we know, regardless of what so-called side you on, you trying to use anything mentioning black people as a ploy, as a tool for something else. We always a part of y'all's agenda, right? So yeah, I'm the irony of saving a country that never saved us. Many black people ask, why should we fight to save a democracy that never fought to save us? Why defend a system that has never truly seen us as equal citizens? White America created the monster. The rise of Trumpism isn't a sudden shift. It's the culmination of centuries of racial resentment and political manipulation. Many feel that white America built this structure and must dismantle it themselves. Yep, I just said that. This is a white on white issue. That's why black people need not go out in these streets. And even, like, I'm going to say this, even with the police killing black people, it shouldn't be no protest. I'm going to say this. A white police officer killed my son. Not only do I not want nobody to be out there protesting, it's just, guess what? If I feel a certain way, if I have to feel that pain, somebody else going to feel that pain too. Like the exact same pain. If I lost my son, somebody losing theirs. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I won't want nobody out there protesting shit. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. What the fuck I'm going to need a goddamn protest for? Motherfucker killed my goddamn, and my sons ain't no criminals. Never been no criminals. So I would know that this was murder, cold-blooded murder, if any of my sons end up getting fucked. I got 2 sons. If anything ever happened to my sons, I know I got to hurt somebody's son. That's all I'm going to say about that. Protesting hasn't guaranteed change. From the civil rights movement to Black Lives Matter, countless protests have led to limited or temporary reforms. Seeing America slide back into the same patterns breeds skepticism about whether protests changes hearts or just hit lines. And that's basically going back to what I said. Fuck a motherfucking protest. It's just like when I hear a lot of people talking about going on vacation, going on trips, traveling the world, right? But if you never took that trip within, what good is going to see the fucking world if you never look within to find out who you are? Fuck a goddamn protest. From my lenses, a lot of these protests be a bunch of crazy motherfuckers that just want to be outside, And if you really in tune and you black and you in America, you don't go outside. That's where that devil at. In every way, shape, form right now. Surveillance, policing, just regular white people acting like they police, calling 911 on you and shit for jogging down the motherfucking street. We don't go outside. Fuck all that outside shit. So basically look within. That's one thing white America need to be doing looking within. Going outside is not going to help their ass until they look within. I do got a video though that I want to share about how effective these type of protests are in the world. They have been effective against taking over authoritarian type of regimes that have came through these countries over the last 50 years. Distrust in both political parties. Many Black people view both major parties as complicit in oppression. Democrats often use Black votes but rarely deliver structural justice, while Republicans openly attack Black progress. So joining a pro-democracy protest can feel like choosing between two evils. That's exactly what this shit is. Choosing between two wicked, the same evil. It ain't no two evils. It's the same evil. It's the same exact evil, just two sides to the coin. You know, like I said earlier, one embrace you and can, you know, basically want you to, you know, vote for them, you know, while they don't do shit for you. That's a special kind of hate, right? Might I add, that's a special kind of hate, to want somebody to endorse you, but at the same time, don't do shit for them, right? Don't help them in no kind of way, and actually use shit like the Clinton, like the war on crime that Clinton did, you know, throwing all the whole generation of Black males in prison. That's how he repaid us for us helping him get in office, right? And then being tough on crime, that's what he called it. And then the versus the Republicans that want to act like you don't even exist, like you're not even a real, like you're not there. You know, just looking over you even when you're in their face, you know, ostracizing you, trying to make it like you never lived. You know, like you, not only is your story not relevant here in America, you have never lived. Like you don't exist. That's how Republicans treat Black people in this country. So yeah, focus on community survival instead. Rather than marching for a nation that continually betrays them, many are focused on building self-sustaining Black communities, economically, spiritually, politically independent of a system that's collapsing under its own hypocrisy. Yeah, so in order to do that, pull it off, we need our own currency. That's Bitcoin. Now that's crypto, the blockchain. The blockchain. If y'all don't know, if you Black and you don't know what the blockchain is, get in tune with it. It's basically the most secure form of digital currency. It is the most secure. It don't get no better than this. Crypto is by far the absolute best way to use currency between people. It matures. You can look at it. You can always monitor it. It's not like the dollar where you don't even know where the dollar is at, like in terms of the world view of it. The dollar, the American dollar, is actually beginning to be one of the weakest currencies. If y'all haven't heard of what's it called? BRICS. Yeah, BRICS. The basically, what's that? Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America. Those 5 countries are the big 5 of BRICS, but it's way more than 5 countries that's a part of it right now. Matter of fact, let me get the data on that. Yep. So here are the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations are a group of emerging economies that now include Brazil, Russia, India, China, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and the United Arab Emirates. And here is a complete list of the BRICS nations. Let's see, Indonesia. All right, here we go. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Indonesia, partner states, Belarus, Bolivia, Cuba, Kazakhstan, Uganda, Thailand, Nigeria, Malaysia, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. Algeria and Turkey were invited as well. So, yeah, we talking about a whole lot of people. The people is the money. The people is the money. Oh, yeah, I didn't even share that. Yeah, so these are the countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran. Yeah, I'm just online. If you look up BRICS nations, you will find them all. And so these countries that's part of BRICS, they basically creating their own currency that they put in. Like, the dollar isn't special. All it is something that people agree on. If we can agree on something, it's real. Like, it's imaginary, but as long as we can exchange goods and services and be happy with what is exchanged, it's real. You know, we can turn monopoly money into real money right today. And if we can exchange goods and services with it, that monopoly money would be more important than the dollar. So that's how real this shit is.
The decline in the black farmer had a few facets to it. One was the Great Migration, and then you had horrific laws of Jim Crow, where blacks weren't able to obtain credit. Under the Carter administration, they came up with the Farmers Home Administration that was supposed to help blacks get loans, and it did the opposite. You weren't getting farm ownership loans, you weren't getting farm operating loans. I take a step into the United States Department of Agriculture, and I step back in time. 387 days to process a black farm loan request, and less than 30 days to process a white farmer's loan request. And the top 10% getters in U.S. farm subsidies get over $1 million per farmer, and the average subsidy to a black farmer is $222. No comparison. We're not even in the same league, and we haven't even made it to that book. And as that process became more and more difficult, more and more.
Man, he said $222 of subsidy to a black farmer. Man, what the fuck is that? You can't even pay a cell phone bill with that.
Blacks left farming.
You see, both federal and local governments have worked very specifically to deprive, obstruct, and prevent land ownership by Black people. Local banks can deny loans.
That's what it's always been about, you know. Imagine the people that inhabited the world first being left out of the land that they inhabited. That's what's going on. It's some deep-seated hatred, man, within white people, within white America. It's some deep-seated hatred towards Black people in general. And it's so deep that I don't even think they understand how deep it is. That's what make it truly deep. You know, like I think I always heard if we could look within ourselves and see our brain, you know, and see our thoughts, we would we'd be, you know, flipped inside out. We'd be crazy. That's what I think the hate for Black people, you know, from white people. I think that if they were forced to look at that hate that they have within us, that they have against us, it would literally make them lose their mind. I truly believe that the hate that we face here in this country is attributed to white men losing their mind, because I think some of them start to look at it. As soon as they start looking at it, they flip out. That's what I think we're seeing right now. Trump and everybody.
Local governments can write legislation that bolsters those banks' racist practices, and the same thing happens on a federal level too, which has resulted in catastrophic losses within the Black farming community.
So we experienced that from the government and banks, but we also faced that at local markets. There was a time period where tobacco brought a higher price when I sold it through my white neighbor than it did when I sold it on my own.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What year?
This is in the 90s.
Shut up.
Yeah. And
That makes you mad? It makes me so mad.
Well, it makes...
I mean, I was just talking to the homie about this, man. Like, it's sad, but, you know, if you smart and you Black, you get a white face in front of your business and you fuck around and be successful just because you got this white front, you know what I'm saying? This white person out in front, you know, claiming to be the owner of your business. You know, that's The Banker. If y'all ever seen that movie, The Banker, that's what they did in that movie. Samuel L. Jackson played in that movie. And they basically own banks, but they put a white man in front of it. I think this was in the 40s, 50s America, right? Post World War II. And they bought banks in LA and they put a white man in front of it. And it's only when they started fucking around in the South where you had so much like deep hate towards Black people, like, and they start like exposing who they really were and that they really own, like that's when they got so-called caught, and they tried to make it like they were impersonating or false representation. That's how they tried to get them, but really they just was mad that some Black people own these banks. And that's what this guy talking about. He sold his stuff through white farmers and made more money than if he would have sold it himself. That's what happens with Black people. That's something that white America probably would never understand, but might do and really love that. That's the route that we got to take.
It makes me mad. It gave me the drive and the motivation to want to fix it.
Yes.
And that's what I sought out to do, and that's what I've been doing for the past 30 years.
When Black farmers sued the USDA for racial discrimination in 1993 and won, they proved in court that the federal government was systematically denying loans and financial support to Black farmers. That led to the largest civil rights settlement in U.S. history. But that settlement money has only made it to roughly 20,000 farmers of the 100,000 plus that were represented in this suit. Why? Because bureaucratic red tape has caused the proverbial can to just keep getting kicked and rebundled under new bailout packages.
As a black farm operator, the one thing that I'm sick of hearing from white farmers is how you're struggling. Excuse me, my people not only struggle, the USDA objectively spent more money trying to keep black farmers out of farming and to actually help us. Meanwhile, white farmers were not only getting land, you're getting conservation payments. Do you even know what that is? The white farmers and their families for generations were given land, and they will be paid to not farm that land. Because it's for conservation, it's for environmentalism. The same white MAGA farmers who vote against climate change initiatives, who vote in favor of policies that harm the environment, are now the same crybaby who are crying about them not getting conservation payments. Excuse me, you don't even believe in environmentalism, but you want payments for not farming your own land. You want payments for not working your land. You want payments for being lazy. You want payments for being white. That is the usual suspect, the usual problem in this country. The reason why we spend so much money on freaking farmers and subsidies is because of white farmers. Because black farmers don't even ask the freaking USDA for anything because we know better. You want to know why? For generations, the USDA has done nothing but help white farmers get them land, get them conservation payments, help them with animals, help them get freaking education, mechanize their freaking farm equipment. You do all that shit. Now you want to come to me saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I've been doing that, and that's why I'm not struggling like you are.
Why are black? Real talk. Man, I swear, man. Woo, we've been through this for generations and generations. So we are inoculated, meaning we have the cure. We have the cure. It's embedded in our DNA. We are the proof. What you're looking at is the proof of going through everything that these so-called white farmers and all these people, even a lot of these people marching. We are the living proof of going through that. What you are looking at right now on this video is living proof that not only the things that was built to try to hurt you can't hurt you, they will actually help you. So trying to hurt our people has actually helped us. We are more war, we are more war ready. We ready for survival. It's embedded in our DNA. So all of that, why y'all keep talking about black and white? Look, if we didn't keep doing that, we wouldn't be prepared for what's going on right now. I'm glad that I'm the way that I am because I am ready and been ready my whole life. Before I was even born, my parents, they was ready. My grandparents, my great grandparents, and generations before that was enslaved. Those were the ones that actually went through this for my generation. To live and to think the way that I think and never let their legacy die. Yeah, man.
Gen Xers so pissed off nowadays.
That's a good question. In 1988, my family and I had a 52-acre farm in Hillsdale County, Michigan. We were the only black people in the county. We raised animals. We had cows and chickens, and we were living off the grid, basically. And then we had our house fire bombed. We were the only black people in the county. The next day, they said, when they put the fire out, they said, we can't tell if it was arson or not. Only the fire marshal himself can make that determination, and he won't be able to come out till tomorrow. So the next day, my dad went to go get some lumber so he can build up a fence between the tree lines so people can't just drive up on our property. And while he was gone, my mom was waiting on the fire marshal. I was kind of watching her. I was kind of peeking around the corner watching her. She was 5 months pregnant. She was trying to rake in the yard. She had her 12-gauge shotgun with her in case the people with firebombers came back. But she was too small to hold it. She could just prop herself up. While I'm watching her, 2 Hillsdale County sheriffs pulled up. They grabbed her. They reached around the gate and grabbed the shotgun, put it in the trunk, handcuffed her, and drove off with her. My dad came home with all this lumber. I ran out and told him what I saw. He left. He came back and said, yeah, they arrested your mom for felonious assault. He said she had the pew-pew up on her in the pocket of her shoulder pointing at vehicles as they drove up and down the road. I knew that was a lie. My mom was not like that. They arrested her. They convicted her of felonious assault. She did 133 days in Hillsdale County Jail, felonious assault. When they let her out, as she was 5 months pregnant, we all moved back to Detroit. I got back to Detroit. I absolutely hated it. I had nothing in common with anybody my age in Detroit. I was a farm kid. I was naive. And then I got a summer job. I got a job. I got a bike. It was the best feeling of freedom that I had since I was on the farm. I rode it everywhere, and I'm riding at night, and then I got robbed. Great. Now I hate this place all over again. So I got my check at I cashed it at the check cashing spot. I'm walking home. I'm paranoid. I had $222.13. I bust my ass and earned this money. I had my head on a swivel. I'm looking one way. I hear, hey, from the other direction. My heart started beating fast. I look, it's two cops. Whew. Start making smile a little bit. Like, man, they don't know how bad they scared me. They walking up to me. I'm getting ready to say something. They gut checked me and doubled me over. And then they grabbed my arms and stood me up while I'm coughing and trying to catch my breath. They handcuffed me. They take everything out of my pockets, my money, my keys, my wallet. They said, what the fuck is you smiling about? I can't even talk. I'm coughing. I'm trying to catch my breath. They put me in the back of the squad car. They called in the dispatch and gave my ID. Dispatch called back all clear. The officer said, you heard her. She said you had a warrant for $222.13. You going to pay it here or you going to pay it at the precinct? I said, I didn't do anything. He said, oh, you didn't hear me. She said, you have a warrant for $222.13. You going to pay it right here or you going to pay it at the precinct? Which one you going to do? And I was mad. I was scared. I was frustrated and I yelled. I didn't do anything. Officer jumped out the vehicle, got in the back seat with me, pulled out his pew-pew and stuck it in my neck and said, N-word, you know I'll fucking blow your brains out right here? And I was frustrated. I was mad. I was terrified. And I was trying to keep that tear from dropping down my face. Damn. But I couldn't. And I hated that tear more than anything else. And I had to watch my breath and say, sir, I didn't do anything. He started laughing, looked at the cop in the front seat and said, well, you heard him. You're going to pay it at the precinct. They took me down there. It was Friday afternoon, about 5:30. They didn't fingerprint me. They didn't take no pictures. They just put me in the cell. Monday morning, they just let me out. I walked home. I got home. My parents were freaking out. They didn't know where I was all weekend. My dad asked me, where were you? I told him. He said, get in the truck. Let's go up there. Went back up to the precinct and my dad was pissed. My dad is an old civil rights guy. Look at my pictures on my page of him getting arrested for ordering a cheeseburger. He was one of them guys. He said, y'all gonna tell me why y'all had my son in here all weekend? And the officer, I'll never forget it, started smiling and fake typing on the computer and was like, we got no record of your son being down there. He asked my name or nothing. My dad said, bullshit, you gonna tell me why you had my son down here all weekend? The cop was like, well, we was probably out gangbanging or something, selling drugs or something. My dad was like, my son ain't like that. Motherfucker, you gonna tell me why you had my son? And he stood up and unsnapped his weapon and said, sir, you got a weapon on you? And we left. This is 1988. 1989, I remember watching these stories about kids my age wiling out. I never forget that verbiage in New York and how they were like a pack of animals and the police grabbed them and got confessions out of them. Mm-hmm. And it was a New York billionaire who had everything he could ever want in the world, was advocating for the death penalty for these kids that were my age. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what were you saying about KKK? Had never seen them before?
And so now, you see why I say there's no need for these white farmers to be crying for a bailout. Because when black farmers were drowning in debt, struggling under a system that had denied us land, loans, resources, and respect for over a century, where was the sympathy? Where were the emergency relief bills then? Where were the lawsuits to support our rights? Let me make it plain. We've always needed assistance, and not just for bad harvests or global supply chain issues. We needed help because of intentional policies that excluded us, stole from us, and worked against us at every level. The USDA itself admitted in 1999 in the historic Pigford versus Glickman case that it had systematically discriminated against black farmers for decades. We're talking loan denials, delayed payments, paperwork disappearing, and officials flat out refusing to serve black applicants. That ain't just negligence, that's racism in policy form. And even when the federal government finally said, "We see what happened, let's do something about it," and passed Section 1005 of the American Rescue Plan, that $4 billion in debt relief wasn't some special handout. It was a reparative act, a tiny down payment on the massive debt this country owes black farmers. But before $1 could be paid out, before one piece of paper could be processed, lawsuits started flying, a coordinated effort by white farmers, mostly from Texas, Arkansas, and Florida, saying they were being discriminated against now. Think about that. They blocked relief not because they needed help, but because they couldn't stand to see us get any. And now, in 2025, here we are again. Farms across the country are suffering. White farmers are feeling the pressure. Some are praying for bailouts, calling on God, saying this administration or that president has failed them. But black farmers?
That's God right there. We God. While they calling on God, the same people they've been trying to hurt represent God. That's why they keep getting punished, and that's why they're gonna forever be punished. Because they don't even know what they so-called discriminating against. They're discriminating against God. That's exactly what's going on. These ain't just black people. We just look like this. We are God in the flesh, and they are the devil in the flesh. You know why? Because they hate this God that's in us. The devil hate God. That's that. They hate us. Period. They could be versions of us if they understood that they come from us and they are just another version of what really just man is. But if we gonna use a color, yeah, black is God. Period.
We're suffering too, and not just at the same level. We're being hit 10 times harder. Land ownership for black farmers has dropped from over 14 million acres in the early 1900s to just 1.1 million acres today. And even that's being threatened by rising costs, corporate takeovers, and a lack of access to capital. We're less than 2% of all U.S. farmers, and yet we've carried more than our fair share of pain.
What's the color of soil? What's the color of that man right there on that screen? We're the color of soil. We look like soil. We look like what the earth is. You know why? Because that same color is what made our color. Thousands and thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of the sun beating down on us made us this way. The same color as the soil. That's God. You can grow with the soil. Humankind has grown from us. We're the soil of humankind.
But you don't see us running to the press crying for sympathy. You don't see us begging the system that's failed us time and time again. Why? Because we already know the truth. We've been conditioned to understand that when help comes, if it ever comes, it's too late, too little, or tied up in a courtroom by people who never wanted us to have it in the first place. That's why we're not surprised anymore. We're not shocked when we're left out. We don't expect the cavalry to show up, because it never has. And so when I hear white farmers now saying they feel abandoned, I get it. I do. But maybe this is the first time they've ever had to feel what it's like to be ignored, denied, and told to wait while the bills pile up and the land slips away. Maybe now they get a taste of what it's like to be a black farmer in America. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this with hate. I'm not celebrating anybody's pain. But what I am saying is this. If we had to tough it out for generations with no help, no voice, and no mercy, then maybe now it's their turn to see what that feels like. Because black farmers have always prayed for help. We've prayed for the land, the loans, the laws to finally lean in our favor. And just when we think the blessing is on the way, here comes a lawsuit to take it back. So to all the folks now crying out for relief, I say this: tough it out, dig deep, do what we've always had to do, survive on your own with grit and grace and God, because the system you thought was built to protect you, it ain't coming. And to my people watching this, don't ever forget how they move when it's our turn to get help. Remember this moment, because it shows us again why we have to build our own systems, support our own farmers, and keep pushing for justice, not just for ourselves, but for the next generation. This ain't just about bailouts. This is about balance, about truth, about finally seeing how it feels when the shoe is on the other foot. Stay strong, stay informed, stay rooted. I appreciate y'all for watching. If this spoke to you, hit the like button, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, that was just some valuable information. Very valuable insight and information. Just one example of why Black people should not be out here protesting. We've been protesting. It's in our DNA. We don't need to be out there right now. A lot of what's going on, this has been Democrat and Republican led to hate Black people here in this country. So no one is exempt from that as far as political parties go. So this authoritarian regime that's in office, this is basically the first time that all of America has felt what Black America has been feeling. And so much has happened recently to add insult to injury, that it's like, nah, y'all got to be out your mind to think that it's going to be a bunch of Black folks out here marching. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I don't know my internet. Maybe Trump, maybe they're trying to get me. I don't know, man. Seem like this dude going after all his political enemies, man. It's only gonna be a matter of time before they start coming to get people like me. But I said to myself yesterday, I said, you know what? That would be such a privilege. I would love, like I never would have thought in a million years that I would be able to live and go through the same struggle that my ancestors went through in this country. I never thought that I would get that same opportunity to struggle like they struggled. That would be the greatest gift of all, to be arrested, to be targeted by these people. Like our presence alone overrides them. That all that hate that this country has historically had for my people has only helped us. It's gonna keep helping us. So I look forward to the hate I look forward to being discriminated. I look forward to being singled out and targeted. I really do. I never would have thought that I would be able to live like the stuff I read in these Black history books when I was growing up, and to be able to go through certain things like my ancestors went through for the good of my descendants that's coming after me. You know, my legacy, you know, for them to be strong, for them to be in tune, for them to be powerful, you know. So I look forward to a lot of hate. I look forward to it. I really do, man. Okay, I'm see here. I got another video I want to share. It's a video I seen yesterday. Correcting. I can't even find the video. I'm trying to find it. But yeah, okay, moral clarity, not indifference. Moral clarity, not indifference. Choosing not to protest isn't about ignoring the danger of authoritarianism. It's about recognizing that America is finally being forced to experience the oppression it ignored. Many people see it as poetic justice. The empire is tasting its own medicine. That's basically why, that's in a nutshell, why we shouldn't be out here protesting right now. All right, I'm gone, y'all. I'll be back.